Hey Spooky Ghouls, Spooky Doll Lady Chris. So this arrived in the mail yesterday. It is the NerdECrafter Super Not Another Craft Kit. So we're gonna do an unboxing. I wanted to do it on stream, but I can't seem to connect OBS to my Steam account today, or my Twitch account today. So I'm just gonna record it and post it. I did pre-open this so I could cast the figurine because my idea was to work on the figurine on my stream today. But there was an issue with that, which we will get to later. So anyway, this is what you get when you first open it. You get the booklet with the instructions. And they're full color instructions with actual photos and not just drawings. Personally, I'm somebody who can kind of work from either, but I know that this makes a big difference for some people. So, there's that. Okay. Set that over here. I'm working on a much smaller table space because I just didn't have the energy to clear everything off to do an unboxing. Okay, so let's open the box. Most of this is probably going to have to be done upside down because I don't have a good way to show all of it otherwise. Okay, so you open it and immediately you get super cute packaging paper again, which there was fun packaging paper on the first kit as well, and I still save the box and the paper because they're really nice and I love them. So immediately what you would normally see when you open it is the mold, and here are two pieces of the mold. You can see there's little bits of plaster flaking off of them. And it comes with the mold already together, which is super handy. I have it taken partially apart because I was trying to get my little figurine out, and I think you can already start to see where some of my problems are. Here's the big one, is that this leg is already cracked, and I haven't even gotten to the part of actually taking him out. So it's going to fall off for sure when I take it out. The other thing is obviously the head didn't fill up all the way. It was filled all the way, and then when the plaster started to settle, there wasn't enough. Mostly because when I mixed it, you get all of these, by the way. You get your little cup, although that one's from the old kit because I didn't get down far enough to get to the stuff from the new kit. But this one comes with blue funnel and bowl and spatula. And if you can tell how much plaster is in here, it's because when I mixed it, I didn't realize there was a massive lump of unmixed plaster sitting at the bottom of the bowl, which is what should have ended up in the top of his head. And because it didn't get properly mixed, yeah, when it settled, there wasn't enough in the mold. Which is okay. I can always sculpt the head and reattach the leg, but honestly, the biggest problem is that I was in kind of a rush and I wasn't paying attention, and this is why you really have to pay attention with this stuff and mix it to the proper consistency. If you watch the tutorial, which is linked in the instructions, it'll tell you the proper consistency. So pay attention to what Jackie says is the proper consistency, because if you don't, what will end up happening is you're going to get a guy who, I don't know how clear this is to see, but this has been sitting all night out in the open. I popped the sides off after 2 hours. It's still not set. It's wet, it's watery, it's soft. I don't know that it's going to set properly. I'm going to let him sit for like a couple of days and hope that he'll set and I can still work off of it. But I'm not hopeful because this is the stand that I made, and you can see there's like bubbles there. If I pop those, there's big pockets of water in it. I didn't mix it very well. So don't do that, okay? Mix it properly. Definitely take the time. Make sure you mix it properly. You have to work quickly, but don't rush yourself, because I think that all of this is going to have to get thrown in the trash, which is a little disappointing. I hate creating any kind of waste, and I feel like I wasted a lot of this permastone by messing up the mixing that badly. So I'm going to set all the mold pieces off to the side for now. But it is, it's a 3-piece mold rather than a 2-piece mold. So it comes fully assembled. And you can see that the middle piece fits in between these. And then what you do is you pour it in through the top with your little funnel. And once you get it filled halfway, you tip it backwards so that it gets into the legs, and then you tip it forward so it gets into the other legs, which I apparently did all of that properly because his legs came out great. And then you finish filling it and probably wait like 5 minutes and let it settle, and then fill it some more if you need to, instead of filling the stand bit immediately, because once I did that I didn't have enough to fill up his head. So yeah, basically don't do what I did. Don't be impatient. Take your time. Do it properly. And this isn't entirely on lack of skill, because despite the fact that I had never plaster casted before, when I did her first kit, I got a few perfectly good figures out of it that I casted very well. You can see by looking at them that there's no giant pockets in their head, none of their limbs detached. Okay, so obviously these kits are designed so that you can work with them without ever having done this kind of thing before. They're very good. You have to actually take your time, which I didn't do. Okay, back to the unboxing. So, it's a discount code from Muse Kits, which was previously, I think, Smart Art, which is who produced the kit. And then you get some really fun colored sanding sticks. I think they're just like emery boards, nail files. I have like every grit of sandpaper because of my life carving, so I usually use my own sandpaper. But these are good too. What I also tend to do is use the little sanding heads from my Dremel kit that are like really, really tiny. And I'll just hold them in my hand and use those, or put them into my hand drill and use those rather than sanding boards. But you absolutely do not have to do that. These are great. The other little thing that came in the last one was good too. I actually do use a lot of the tools from the first kit daily, so these are good kits, man. All right, good brushes. These are definitely good brushes. I still have the ones from the other kit that I use regularly. They're in my little brush mug off to the side here. I prefer the itty bitty, super expensive, really nice detail brushes, but I do use those for larger projects. So they're good brushes. I just tend to work in a smaller scale than these kits provide. This is one of the things I was really excited about. Let me put this guy on here so you can see this in action. It spins all the way around so that you can carve or sculpt or sand without having to pick your sculpture up. And I think that's pretty awesome. And it's nice and lightweight, which is good. I was a little worried it was going to be a heavy thing, but that's going to make it a lot easier to store. Oh, I think it's reversible too. Both sides look the same, so that's helpful. Let's just put that over there. I'm trying to find room to set things aside. I think I already mentioned the second mold that comes with it. If I didn't, this is just a flat round mold. It's used for making little stands for your guide to stand on if you want to make like a little environment for it. And then there's this one, which I wanted to cast, but I didn't have enough leftover plaster. And this one is the little wing mold. I am super excited about this. Much as I'm not actually sure what I'm going to do with a 4-legged figure, because I usually work with humanoid dolls, these are definitely going to get used because I want to make dolls with wings so bad. So awesome. These will definitely come in handy, even if I only make the one dragon creature. You get armature wire. Armature wire is super helpful, handy for all kinds of things, for putting wings or antennas or tails onto dolls. There's actually, in the instructions, it shows you how to use these to put them in when you cast the wings, and then do that. I'm probably going to end up casting those in resin rather than plaster, but I'm going to get to this last because this is the most exciting piece. Of course, sharp pointy thing. Always gotta have a sharp pointy thing, and this one is actually called a sharp pointy thing, which I love. Set that there. I don't have my other one from the last kit over here because I use it for good things. This is my junky one, and you can see that this blade has been snapped a couple of times at the point. One of the reasons that I like these sharp pointy things is that even though it looks like it's exactly the same blade, these seem to be much sturdier blades. They stay sharper longer, they don't snap off at the tips quite as easily. So that one I use is like my junky, I need to open a mail thing kind of blade, and these I use for crafting because they are much nicer blades. Everything in this kit is super nice, really high quality. Like, you're getting way more than you're paying for, honestly. Okay, here's the measuring cup. It looks exactly the same as the one that came in the last one. I just didn't dig down enough to get the new one out, so I used the old one again. But they're very good measuring cups. They have milliliters and cc's on one side, and then ounces and cups on the other. So super helpful if you're mixing different things because they don't always give you the same measurements. And here's the permastone. This one is unopened because I'm still working from the ones from the lab. And oh, I knocked my camera. Hang on, guys. I broke my webcam. I am unfortunately still working with my really cheapy web camera. The cord is very faulty. If I knock the cord too much, it dies. So, okay, here's the paint palette. Pretty basic paint palette. Always a good thing to have. Okay, I'm going to set this over to that where all the exciting stuff is going. Cosplay. I've really been enjoying playing with this since the last kit. I'm glad there's another one because I've taken a big chunk out of the other cosplay by now. If you watched my videos where I was building my art doll, I used the cosplay to make her hands so that her fingers would be flexible. So that's good clay. I will finish her at some point, by the way. I ordered yarn to make her hair, and it was back ordered, and then it just never showed up. So I'm gonna figure something else out for her hair, and then I'll start working on her again. Okay, and these are the little sculpting tools. They have the little squishy silicone heads on one side and the little ball stylus on the other. Also very good sculpting tools. I have the previous set off to the side here that I use every time I have my clay out, basically. And these are perfect. These are mini size. This is more like the scale that I'm used to working in. A lot of the tools that come in these kits are just a little bit large, but those are nice and tiny, so I use them all the time. Okay, let's see what else we got. This, it looks like it's for pouring. I'm not sure. Where did I put my little booklet? This should tell me what this is. Somewhere in here, right? Okay, it's a mixing dish. Okay, that makes sense. It's for the airbrush paints. So, I'll take the plastic out of this. There's a lot of plastic. I'm trying to keep it all together so I can recycle it after I'm done with this. Yeah, okay. There we go. Little silicone dish. And I know the silicone stuff's in plastic so it doesn't get fuzzy. I'm not complaining about that, by the way. I'm just keeping all the plastic over to one side so it's not all over my room. I actually keep everything in one of those plastic shoebox totes, so I discard everything and my silicone still stays dust free, which is very important when you live with a rabbit, because anybody who owns a rabbit will tell you their hair is very fine and it just floats through the air and it sticks to absolutely everything. And if you have silicone anything out in the open, it will be covered in rabbit hair. But silicone is kind of awesome for cleaning, so it's like the easiest thing to clean, so we're just gonna pretend that that didn't happen. So I love silicone tools. I just keep them all in totes. All right, this is the next exciting thing. These are the oil slick colored sculpting tools. These are absolutely gorgeous. They are so much prettier than my normal sculpting tools. I feel like these are going to take over the place of my previous sculpting tools. At least the ones with these kinds of heads on them, because these are just gorgeous. They're absolutely beautiful. This is a lovely little case. This is perfect. I am very excited about these. I do have actually some sculpting to get done this week, hopefully before the weekend, so I will probably be using these. And then of course, the last things in the bag, our beautiful holographic sticker, our popsicle sticks. So I'm going to put all of these little pieces in here. Where did I put the mold? Here we go. That'll probably fit in here. Just consolidating so everything stays together. All right. And then we've got white chalk paint. Super helpful. Chalk paint is actually really good for getting a nice opaque finish in fewer coats. I've just recently learned, which is definitely going to be helpful, because covering anything in white that isn't already white is kind of a nightmare. So definitely looking forward to testing that out. Okay, this is the what do you call it? The liquid Sculpey, the glue essentially to stick the cause clay onto your plaster. And next is our giant silicone mat, which I wish I had dug down to the bottom and opened this, because I think you can already see how much plaster is getting on my table just from handling these molds. And that's not to mention that I definitely made a giant spill at one point. And had plaster all over my table and my floor, because I am just a clumsy person and I should have known better, but I thought I could do it because I'm dumb like that. Anyway, this, oh, excellent. It's a little stuck together from being packaged underneath all of the other stuff. So let me just unfold this. Oh yeah, look at this. Big honkin' placemat. Oh, perfect. I should have opened this, because this would have saved me. Definitely, if you are messy, this is going to be your best friend when pouring that permastone. So I'm going to fold it up a little bit so I can get it back in there. It definitely wants to keep sticking to itself, but that's good, because that means it'll also stick nicely onto your table. I have a couple of these that are smaller, and I put them down anytime I'm working with clay or paint or anything that's going to make a big mess, because it just makes cleanup super easy. This one's enormous, which is perfect. It should cover my whole table. So I'm going to move this. And now we're going to look at the super exciting stuff. The Airbrush paint set and the compact cordless airbrush. This is what I was the most excited about, to be honest. I've never worked with an airbrush before. I've always kind of wanted to, but they're kind of prohibitively expensive for somebody like me who is on disability and only gets, you know, a pittance every month to support myself on. Okay. I am going to read these instructions before I actually use it. They look good. There's full color picture on that side, and then there's illustration here that shows all the different parts. Oh good, there's a common faults and solutions. That's my favorite page of any instruction manual. I'm a massive nerd when it comes to getting new technology. I will read every page of an instruction manual before I use something. That's my favorite page right there is the common faults or the frequently asked questions, because I am going to run into a problem inevitably at some point, as most people do, and I like to know the solutions ahead of time. So, okay, this, I think, yes, this part goes down because you have to put the paint on the part that goes up. I think they're the same size. It looked like the threads were the same size, so I'm just going to remember it because the paint pot has this part on it, right? That seems pretty foolproof. So I'm leaving it in the container right now. I'm going to open it so I can kind of show it, but I'm not using it right now, so I'm just going to leave it in here because I'm going to immediately take it back apart so I don't lose anything or break anything. I just want to kind of show how small and lightweight this is because as somebody with hand issues, that's definitely important, and it's super easy to use either way. Also, as somebody who's ambidextrous, that's convenient. I'm gonna have to figure out what the most comfortable way to handle this is going to be. I feel like you could probably hold it like that too, and then you could get it almost like a pencil kind of a directing. Yeah, so I am kind of in love with this. Look at how pretty this is. So what makes this so cool is that most airbrushes run on an air compressor, either air compressors or on little cans of air, but if you get the cans of air, you eventually will have to refill them because they'll run out. Air compressors are big, they take up space, they're expensive. Canned air is kind of inconvenient, it creates a lot of waste. This is basically canned air, but it's rechargeable. It's got a micro USB plug. You plug that in, and you can recharge it, and it'll have air forever. This is infinite air. Okay, you don't have to pay for air, so it's gonna run forever if you keep charging it. Well, I mean, until it eventually burns itself out, because all technology eventually burns itself out. But I mean, that's just cool. And as was pointed out by Jazza in his video, the pressure is controlled, so you can't turn the pressure up too high or too low, and that's kind of helpful when you're first starting out and you really don't know what you're doing. I have a tendency to be really heavy-handed in things when I'm first trying them, so I feel like that's something that I would probably have to worry about. Yeah, so this is like the coolest little thing. I am so excited to learn to use this. I can't get over how like small and lightweight this is, and I wish I could do a video testing it out today, but honestly, like I'm so tired. I'm not doing well health-wise lately, guys. I'm doing my best to just get one video a week out, because I still enjoy putting the videos out and interacting with you guys, but yeah, I've been shooting for 24 minutes, and we're just about done. And I think that I'm glad that I'm about done, because I kind of feel like I need a nap. Okay, so I'm going to take this back apart. And there we go. How did this go in here? There we go. Okay. So, just to show how handy and portable this is, take it apart, put it back in the box. Look at how small this box is. You can take this with you anywhere. So if you're traveling and you want to do some crafting on your trip, bring your little airbrush. It's It's got a USB plug, so you can put it into any kind of USB to outlet adapter and it'll work anywhere. How cool is that? Alright, and then next is the paint kit, which, I gotta point my camera back down because now I don't have the big box in the way. So, got, lots of colors. I think this one looks like the varnish. Yeah, this is a brush on varnish, which is definitely a nice inclusion. I think it's a glossy varnish though, which is the only thing. I tend to go for matte varnishes most of the time, but it's always good to have a little extra glossy varnish around. So, you got your basic colors, your red, yellow, blue. You also have purple and green, which in my opinion, the two most important colors. We got here, this looks like brown and black and white and a metallic gold. So this is a really good selection of colors, and they're airbrush paints, so you don't have to worry about thinning them out to make them work with your airbrush, which is fantastic because, again, I've never used an airbrush. I have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm quite sure that if I tried to mix my airbrush paints myself, it would be pretty disastrous the first couple of times. So, I really am enjoying how idiot-proof these kits have been made. Definitely props to Jackie for that. They're fantastic. They never make me feel dumb, which is a beautiful thing. So, now that I've gone through all of that, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the other things that you can do with the materials in this kit, because obviously casting figurines may not be everybody's craft area of expertise. It's certainly not mine. I experimented a couple of times with the other kit. I had a lot of fun with it, but it was also very challenging. So I've only finished a couple. So here was the first one that I did. I'm gonna move my camera down here now that I don't have the big box in the way. Here's the first one that I did. My little gumball machine alien. He was inspired by, you know, the little plastic aliens that came out of like the little gacha machines for like a quarter that were absolutely everywhere in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I collected them as a child. I had like hundreds of them. They were my favorite things ever. I ended up getting rid of most of them because I grew up and I just didn't have anywhere to put them, and I do kind of regret that now. But anyway, long story short, one of my favorite ones that I had was like a galaxy glitter alien on a skateboard. And I haven't made this dude a skateboard yet, but that's what inspired this guy, and he is way cooler than the miniature version that inspired him. But I still think that it gets the idea across. It kind of, to me, still has that feel of the little gacha machine aliens. So that was my first one. This was the first one I finished, and really the only sculpting I did on him was to make his head extra big and bulbous. And I carved out little pits to make the eyes sit a little bit more flat, and I carved his little mouth. But I was very intimidated and very scared of sculpting at this point, so I didn't do a whole lot with this guy. And then kind of the same thing with this one. I was still really intimidated by the sculpting, so mainly what I did was make his head also larger, but in a different direction. So his is more, well, if I turn him this way, you can probably tell. His is more sculpted forward to accommodate the big Mothman glowing red eyes. And I added antenna on him, which obviously I didn't on the alien. And then he's got wings, and here is my masterpiece right there, my thick, thick, thick boy. As KP Creations likes to say, I got thick, thick, thick boy back here. I added a little bit of faux fur on him to make him mothy and fuzzy. Yeah, so I made those with the other kit. Those were both sculpted and then with extra the extra clay, I added on to these little figurines that were actually in a kit from Joann's. And I added this little dude's mohawk and this one's bow and glasses. I made them to match what I was at the time using as my logo for my old business. So I had these two skeletons and I made them into my little logo skulls. I ended up changing my business, so now look at my new cards. Aren't they cute? Oh, I'm so happy with these. I completely redrew my girl skeleton, and I think I made it look a lot nicer. So I still will be keeping these around in my Halloween decor, and I'll probably throw them into product photos every now and then, just as a little throwback. Also, so this was made with not the cosplay, but epoxy sculpt, which was in the other kit. Her whole face here is sculpted with epoxy. Her teeth are epoxy. So, you see in there. She also has, I'm trying to tilt her so you can see it, she's got a little forked tongue that's also epoxy. So even if you don't use the pieces in the kit for, you know, the figurines, you can still use the clay and the sculpting tools, and all of the other stuff to do other kinds of crafts. Like you're not limited by the molds. The molds are kind of just there, like, if you're not a sculptor, they're just there as a bonus, basically. I feel like there was more I wanted to say, but just I can't think of it. I've got a little bit of brain fog going on right now. Anyway, so that is the Super Not Another craft kit from NerdECrafter and Smart Art. And thanks for watching my video. I hope you found it informative. I don't know if they're still available for order. If they are and you haven't ordered one already, you should definitely get one, because this is an amazing kit and I'm really excited to start using it. If you have ordered one and you're just watching to see what's coming in your box, I hope I helped hype you up a little bit. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. And thank you, Jackie, for another absolutely fantastic kit. This one is totally blowing it out of the water for me. I am so excited to get started. So thank you again.